Welcome everybody. I'm David, target individual, back for Project Soulcatcher Part 7. I'm dealing with some pretty heavy V2K, but I'm still gonna make it through. Matter of fact, I'm trying to really see if I can make it through and really ignore this the whole time. They're talking about my grandparents and laughing at me and stuff, but I'm good. I will make it through. Um man, I've been getting hit with profuse sweating, um shocks to the back of my head, uh, whole body vibrations. It's always the same old scenarios with me, but um, and a lot of street theater. Holly's been getting hit. They've been making her use the bathroom, burns on her. So it's been pretty hectic last couple weeks as far as street theater and burns and uh, V2K and stuff like that. But I'm not gonna let it get me down or us down or whatever you should say. And then anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm fixing to read Project Soulcatcher Part 7. Sorry, it's my phone. And I'm trying it with this Zoom app to screen record instead of the other app, so bear with me because it's just probably easier with the Zoom thing to screen record. Also, they got my computer hacked where I can't screen record and share anything with volume. I've tried to fix it several times and it just don't work. All right, so here we go. Okay. Screen record. Okay. Move this over here. And okay. All right, firewalls is what I was talking about last week. Uh, Let me go up. Firewalls. Let's see, go down here. Sorry. Please bear with me until I can find it again. There we go. Okay, firewalls. Where did I go past firewalls? Okay, no, I didn't. All right, so we're going to start out firewalls. I hope everybody's doing okay. Uh, I've been doing all right myself, besides the V2K and all that stuff. Been trying to just make it, doing garlic for energy, multivitamins. I preach multivitamins. If you get good multivitamins and but you want to get good ones, you don't want to get no 60% of Americans have vitamin deficiencies. Vitamin deficiencies can make you feel awful. These weapons they use on you drain your vitamins, plus the food has no vitamins in America. So all right, here we go. In a famous article titled "The Mind Has No Firewall," the author describes not often discussed threat called a psychoterrorism and mind hacking technology from an abstract perspective. Indeed, the human brain never evolved any mechanisms to prevent this kind of intrusion into the fundamental process. However, the U.S. and Russian governments have been hard at work since 1947 developing strategies against what used to be called psychic warfare. The evolution of this technology and information warfare tactics has accelerated. The mind monitoring network not only allows for ominous total control of every human thought, it's also a protection mechanism that filters a possible outside attack by another country. More on this topic later. So it was decided many decades ago that people have no choice but to give up true privacy and freedom in order for security and protection against this relatively new threat from outside their country and origin as a way of governments to exercise more control and predictability of the population. The illusion of privacy and freedom still functions almost as well as if it were real. The walls are cleverly disguised by a camouflage of choice. A computer firewall works by filtering what kind of data are allowed through an outside information stream using the internet. It blocks data from being transferred to or from an outside source, given a set of rules that describe the allowable times of transmissions, the types of data, and the only appropriate transmission protocols. The same approach is used by the Total Information Awareness and Control programs run by the DoD. By controlling the mass media reprogramming, belief systems of large percentage of the populace is rapidly alterable. The internet poses the most difficulty in controlling information. The tactic used here is to flood the key search term with artificial intelligence, natural language created noise, so that it won't be relied upon as a source of truth. The practice will in time force most people back into the mainstream controlled information sources. And I'm telling you, from my research, Google used to have stuff, but you'd have to scroll all the way down and say, I want to see more results, more results. Google has cleaned it up. To find really good information, you got to go to DuckDuckGo, Brave Search, something like that if you're going to search for stuff, because Google has seemed to filter a lot of this stuff out, like the deep information and stuff. All right, the FCC watches the airways and uses the fear of fines as the method to filter information on those channels, but the capability to directly alter memory, mood, and information processing in a single individual human mind is becoming an increasingly popular approach. Literally, the mind can be made to block out or filter certain information. There's a famous example of how the mind does this naturally. In a 1 minute video of a sporting event, an orange gorilla runs across a field. People are asked everywhere if they saw the big orange gorilla. Usually only one person in the audience remembers seeing it. The film is replayed and many people usually accuse the professor of switching the footage because they cannot believe they could have missed it the first time. In the history of America and even earlier, many topics are too taboo to discuss without fear of serious repercussions. You could be burned at the stake as a witch, hung on the cross, or tortured in a dungeon, but the wrong information was conveyed. Freedom of speech is never been realized as an ideal. Cultures have always evolved strict information controls for better or worse. One example of information that the public might agree should be kept out of general awareness might be bomb making science. Others might argue that people always need a way to fight tyranny should it arise. Pornography is just information, but many argue that it damages the mind of the community and changes accepted behavior. Those that enjoy the kind of information will argue that it's the kind of culture they prefer, and people should be judged by their actions, not by the information they consume. I say it's a very bad stronghold. Another example why information might need to so tightly control is paranoid military culture, where loose leaks lip sync ships, directive selective erasures of scientists' minds who have previously worked in secret bases or own projects deemed so important that the knowledge they possess would be considered dangerous to the military establishment if it got out, would be a desirable method of filtering, containing, or purging information. And I'm going to go back up here and read the bottom of this book. It says, okay, so you got 26 up here. Let's see, I'm talking about okay, 26. Talking about the little letters in the, okay, total information awareness, a controversial program discovered by the public that collects every piece of information on everyone and puts it into a database for pattern and relationship data mining. Okay, 27 is the practice and will in time force most people back into the mainstream controlled information sources. All right, down here, the side note, the point is that controlling just a few streams of information is far more manageable than trying to control them all. To change the common belief of a mass culture, you need only convince the majority by coordinating a few influential people. So to garner support for some cause that the DoD only needs to use the controlled information streams. Okay, the firewall technologies of the human mind operate at several levels. Currently, the monitoring of a potential breaches is all that is watched by the Central Intelligence Agency. The automated keyword and key thought alert system is still being perfected. One of their main missions and true purposes of creation was to monitor and control all information around the country and world. Generally, the public thinks the agency is the old-fashioned spy house, but that's only a very small part of what they do. Everyone has a unique brain signature, also called brain prints. If an individual's brain signature becomes too abnormal, it could be a sign of an outside country's mind hacking attempt. If an all-out information war begins using mind hackers, a country might be able to protect the population by thought filtering. And I disagree that it's coming from outside the country. It said one of their main missions to monitor and control all information around the country and world. Generally, the public thinks of this old-fashioned, but that's only everyone has a unique brain signature, also called brain prints. If an individual brain signature becomes too abnormal, it could be a sign of an outside country's mind hacking attempt. Now, I don't know why he put that as outside country. If all that information war began using mind hackers, a country might be able to protect the population by thought filtering. If a country could map every cognitive model of every person and keep it in sync with the original, then it can be used as a template to keep thought patterns within functioning perimeters. This cognitive modeling technique was called Project Mind, Mentally Integrated Neuron Duplicator. Many people's brain signals are stored and tracked in real time on supercomputers, housed in the semi-secret command and control communication underground bases in the U.S. At its core, Mind, or mentally integrated neuron duplicator, is a giant covariance matrix, or it can be viewed as a self-organizing artificial neuron network with some hard-coded structure. It models the clickstream of neuron depolarization and patterns of a human brain. The mind cognitive approximation can be used to stimulate or simulate and predict, as well as for filtering and monitoring. The CIA and NSA have been experimenting trying to create a firewall for the human mind. Using cybernetic hive mind configurations of humans, they test ways to be able to interrogate a mind without revealing information to the target. The basic problem is that during mind melding, secret slips bi-directionally. The tested solutions truly explain the CIA's journey into madness. Biological computers operate within the same rules as silicon computers on the most part. Networking structures are being tested. The person who acts as the firewall in the network must lack intelligence and knowledge of the program and project objectives so as the state don't slip to the target. And then it says the cybernetic hive mind with firewall. You see the group handlers attacking? There's the firewall. Remote control soldier, Manchurian candidate, interrogation target. The person who acts as the firewall in the network must lack intelligence and knowledge of the program and project objectives so as the state secret don't slip. So it's saying the basic problems during mind melding secrets slip bi-directionally. The tested solutions truly explain the journey into madness. Okay, just as the thought stream filtering. A slang term for mind hackers is psychic warriors. Okay, thought stream filtering. Just as technology can amplify certain thought processes to obsessive compulsive levels, it can also be used to suppress and filter other thoughts. This could be useful for protection of the population. Let's say Russia starts using their phased arrays to beam violent messages and behavior over the entire population of the U.S. and to cause disruption and division. The defensive move would be to filter or divert these thoughts. Also, in the future, the people of the world may decide that there's just too much dangerous knowledge swimming around the internet that could jeopardize the whole human race, such as virus engineering, uranium purification, or maybe this technology of mind hacking so they can literally put thought filters onto an entire population so that certain discoveries won't happen. Controlling belief systems of large groups could have the effect of deterring rediscovery of certain technologies or simply diminish the interest in it. Whether this is actually occurring is disputed. Certainly, the psychological persuasion of using movies and cartoons to spoof the existence of mind hacking using biocommunications as being futuristic and ridiculous has occurred since the 60s with great success. The umbrella industry of psychiatry has also been famously used to unscientifically discredit testimony of mind hacks. One famous survey done in the 80s claimed that over 25 million Americans believe they have had some kind of alien encounter. Over 20 million Americans have had tinnitus of unknown origin, a universal side effect of thousands of reports of severe mind hacks. Oddly enough, the average person is willing to believe in aliens, ghosts, demons, and talking to the dead, mass delusions, and psychic rather than biocommunication technology. Because the experience of being mind hacked is so foreign, most who are not educated in the field assume it must be from another planet. Once the commercial segment develops and promotes it, it will be as commonplace as mobile phone communication, and most people won't care how it works anyway. The other reason thought filters are being so heavily worked on is during the clone or mind meld, thoughts go bi-directionally from every hive mind participant. Obviously, during interrogation, one would not want the target to be able to use senses of the other individuals nor read their memory. This is a huge hole in current systems. Most of the research is being devoted to development of tools to filter thought pathways. Even the user interface for U.S. Satan systems or silent assassinations through adaptive networks using an intergalactic symbol set developed by NASA, just in case the target sees through the EEG cloner's eyes. For that reason, the target will not be able to tell what country is doing the attacking, nor will they easily learn the interface capabilities. It also plays in thoroughly promoted myth of aliens running smuck here on Earth. More details of this system will be discussed in the next chapters. Trace route and multi-levels of indirection. Hackers often reroute network traffic all over the globe before reaching a host machine. This makes it more difficult to trace the hacker. Just like with a phone call, phreaking using other incident machines and networks to launch an attack is the best way to not get caught. PBX boxes are hacked for this reason so that calls can be placed without being traced. using IP cloaking mechanisms discussed earlier, as well as encrypted delayed messages to zombified machines, makes it also incredibly difficult to track messages back to one another machine being used as evidence in court. The concept for investigators of computer hackers is trace route back to the original hackers' machines or phones. In the drug trafficking world, the same is done to trace networks to the kingpin. But nothing like this is done in the mine hacking world, since the U.S. government does not want to openly admit it's being done. In mine hacking world, this indirection can also be achieved by hacking the mind of a general, let's say. The hacker can make them believe they're developing their own mine network for their own country, but use them for further own ends. This level of indirection is very sneaky. Yes, the sophistication of mine hacking has reached a level. There's a group who strategize about world domination using mine hacking technologies that jokingly refer to themselves as the cult of the mad cow, as homage to the infamous hacking group called the Cult of the Dead Cow, who wrote the book Back Orphus, which is included on the CD that came with a teacher's edition, which I do not have. Baiting hackers. The sirens of truth will lure you. Baiting is a common way to catch criminals. In some circumstances, it's called entrapment. In other situations, it isn't. The idea is to see who's interested in researching what topics. Who is trying to hack what kinds of websites or computers? Who's trying to purchase what goods and materials? So the need to know and search for the truth is bait and lure, find spies. But is the opposite truth? Can one bait mine hackers or identify themselves in a data mining program to be hacked? Good question. Hacking the hackers. One of the greatest achievements hackers can do is trace and hack another hacker attempting to hack them. Usually, a trace route is done to identify the hacker's address, grabbed from a packet sniffer, then a port scanner used to identify services and vulnerabilities. Are there analogies in the mine hacking world? Scarecrow effects and decoys. Some very advanced theories are growing out of cybernetic research on how to create decoy mines and complex adaptive signals. The idea is to grow a virtual neural network that mimics many of the target's brain patterns, given a particular external signal stimulus. Since the mind entrainments could produce delayed Mind entrainments produce delayed, recognizable, evoked potential. A decoy could be created to lead the targeting signals astray while the real mind filters out the irrelevant noise. The idea is to get the adaptive targeting system to loop indefinitely while locked onto the decoy. All right, so figure 1-1, we got here the wave bubble. It sends out opposite waves to cancel incoming waves. The objective is to decorrelate the brain entrainments from the radar active sensing and return control signal. It can be analogized to a car that gets stuck in a rut in the road. If one can steer the car out of the rut, one gains control again. Other techniques to create signal scarecrows and decoys are jammers. And I'm going to read this one more time while you're looking at this figure. Some very advanced theories are growing out of cybernetic research on how to create decoy mines and complex adaptive signals. The idea is to grow a virtual neural network that mimics many of the target's brain patterns, given a particular external signal stimulus. Since the mind entrainments produce delayed, recognizable, evoked potentials, a decoy could be created to lead targeting signals astray. While the real mind filters out the irrelevant noise, the idea is to get the adaptive targeting system to loop indefinitely while locked onto the decoy. The wave bubble. It sends out opposite waves to cancel incoming waves. Other techniques to create signal scarecrows and decoys. Jammers. Ion density fluctuations. Moving sheets of metal. Frequency jammers. Same pole magnetic field sweeps and pulses. The trick is forcing the adapting beamformers and adaptive filtering algorithms to keep chasing a different pattern. Forcing a dominant brain frequency to alpha state using similar neural feedback methods away from 4 Hz frequencies, since psychic warfare uses this range of entrainments. Microwave hearing effect at close range to override other hypnotic commands. These instruments are not available to the general public. One clever way to disrupt tormenting microwave hearing effect is an induced speech pathology. One method to disable human speech a person can experience in most science discovery centers. Humans learn speech with a feedback method of auditory and bone conductance. Bone conductance hearing is why our voices sound different when played back on recording. Putting on headphones and then delaying the sounds we are trying to make with our throat, tongue, and mouth disrupts the necessary feedback, and we cannot speak properly. The CIA's hypnotically entrained forced speech is also disrupted in this way. It too relies on artificial hearing feedback loop. In 650 interviews, there were no TIs that were deaf. Okay, so it says human learned speech. So it says bone conducted headphones work, is what they're saying. David Case has sells a CD and some. I think maybe he. I don't know if he sells the headphones. I know he sells some kind of headphones. Me personally, I use controlled breathing, multitasking, hand pan music. It really helps. And then I've been hearing V2K for so long, I'm pretty much ignore it unless I'm stressed out really bad, and then I find myself reacting to it. Okay, Steve Mann, who leads the MIT Cyborgs and whose equipment is composed of wearable computers with heads-up displays, said in the future there will be little evidence that a human was wired. As their eyes keep crossing to view the images, other people will probably think they're possessed by the devil. Wow. If there are other humans included during a cloning attack and not just a mind virus, artificial cognitive model, the possibility of hacking the attacker's interface exists. You will read in the next chapter about several active military systems developed out of many agencies. There are flaws with all software programming systems and designs. To make this counter hack more difficult, NASA developed an intergalactic symbol set that's not recognizable by any nation. It resembles a collection of symbols taken from the world's many cultures. Shared visual workspace of all Hive members includes what they're looking at. If one is at a console, the interface is cloned to the target. The eye gaze movements are also cloned bidirectionally. This gives the target opportunity to explore the interface in a force of will. To counter the opponent from taking control of the eye gaze tracking console, a two-person team is often used. One cloner and another who operates a console using verbal cues from the cloner. But this configuration is less scalable and has additional problems, such as the verbal cues can be heard by the target. And since everything's bidirectional, the target can still control some of the verbal cues. And I'm just going to read these discussion questions, just something to think of. Can you think of other flaws with equipment and techniques as described? How about methods to counter the negative programming? Due to the weaknesses described here, the psychic warriors often use two or more people for each individual target. One is heterodyne, the other is the secretary who controls the computer interface and is listening to verbal commands or responding to hand signals from the other. Is this feasible and scalable if it takes two warriors for every target? And completely in a couple chapters, the reader will learn how to completely automate the system. What safeguards need to be put in place so that the system does not turn on its creators. Chapter 2. Resistance is futile. Counter-resistance techniques. Topics and takeaways from this chapter. Superstitions and mythologies are used to confuse, discredit, manipulate cultures or individuals using these communication weapons. There are typical scripts and tricks used by the CIA and DoD during mind hack interrogations, and both with physical and remote renditions. And I'm going to stop there, and we'll start on chapter 2 next week. Wow. So one chapter was 133 pages. I hope y'all enjoyed this. I know it's very confusing, especially this part. But if you really think about it, go back, listen to it over and over, you'll understand what I'm trying to say here. Uh, so I appreciate y'all coming out. In my opinion, this one wasn't really as good as the other ones, but next week we're going over scripts. Very, very good one. Very, very important to know, especially if you go through forced speech or have any V2K scripts or any scripts at all run on you, theater, whatever. So anyway, appreciate y'all taking your time to support me and listen to what I have to say. And I hope the non-targets listen with an open mind. God bless all target individuals. I hope y'all are having the best day y'all can as targets. I mean, that's really all you can't say. I hope y'all have a good day because most targets don't have good days. But anyway, God bless all TIs, and I will see y'all next week with part 8.